Hey, welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. It's December 11th. Thank you so much for being with us. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Stars with us. Keep local papers live. Subscribe to the Star. Be a subscriber. I am. Dustin, a lot of people, and I know that you cover the Pacers and you grab what you can of the IU games, but you're up on what's going on. And because this is not the first time, in the knock on Woody is about his substitution patterns and how it is so NBA oriented, which the difference between what I keep saying is in the NBA, you have 17 guys on a roster that are all professional players. D1 teams have 13 guys, and they're not all 13 really what you would call at the same,
sure.
There. So you mentioned in the break the depth. You have to have the depth. And while I do think this is a deep team for Indiana, it's not that kind of deep to where you can take a major chunk of your starters out and replace them with substitutes, because now you're just playing your second best against potentially their first best. Who says they're coming out? And I understand they're not going to play 40 points a game. Although, if you look at a lot of box scores, you're going to see many where guys are playing 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So all IU has guys. If you're going to play that many minutes anyway, there's no reason you can't stagger that. There's always stoppage in play. These guys are young. They're in shape. In shape. You're going to tell me they can't get up and down the floor? And so I just think that they keep doing this, and it's not working. I said something to someone yesterday that, this is starting to remind me while there is an upward, there was a rise, obviously, and after the Lil Rhodey regime left and bringing in Mike Woodson, they made it to the tournament. But since then, it's to me, it is flatlined. This is not a continued upward trajectory with the program. I think it is flatlined.
I wouldn't. I mean, I don't like. That's dramatic a little bit. Just to say like flat, because also flatline makes you think about death.
I mean it's reached a crescendo where it just kind of bumps up and down. It's not dead, but it's not. It's not going up.
We're still it's not a dramatic. It's not a straight and it's not always like that. I mean, I think that's the other thing that's important to note. Like, it was a different. He took over at a different time. He obviously had pieces that he could start with, but he also had pieces that he got. And so he's not going to be judged the same way. He had a good enough team to make the tournament his first year, and not every. So you have the, different ways of judging that as far as, where that means you are, because, obviously situation like Tom Crean, he truly, it inherited it at the absolute bottom. So there was a pretty dramatic upward trajectory, but his first 3 years, didn't make the tournament at all and was really bad. But we're piecing players together, and it's a different type of cycle. It's like, obviously he went through his first 2 years of having an All-American that they could ride and had to, basically. And that's the other thing, is like, you weren't necessarily even starting over from with what you wanted to do. It's like, well, I've got this guy and I've got to build around him. And then you find yourself in the portal and going after everything. And what the cards that shake out on this season is a team that does not fit what Mike Woodson said he wanted to do, when they originally, basically when he was originally hired. He said he wanted to be, it to be wide open, a 4-out 1-in system. And, look, he's got two posts, and that's most of his offense, is Malik Renew and Coyle, where, and both of those guys can step out and hit threes and handle the basketball, and they're very skilled players, but they're his two best guys. And they have to be on the floor together all the time because you can't win without them. So it has been a weird thing to judge. And obviously, hey, it's year 3. He's been in the tournament twice. Everybody, everybody chill out for one thing. But I mean, it is a weird. He still does have some of those NBA tendencies, and I guess now that I cover the NBA, I get it. I get why you like having some of those things, because you see it at this level and what works and why it works. It's hard to it's hard to walk away from them, and I can see why. You look at the course of an NBA game, and even this year, Rick Carlisle was less. And Andy Stump says all this is true. 48 minutes is different, 82 games is different. Older guys, there's all these kinds of reasons, but when you're playing the game in the NBA, you're used to. Phillips got a good word. Plateaued is a lot better than flatline, because flatline makes you think of the monitor in the hospital, and it's not that.
No,
but yeah, so it's not like that. But yeah, I think. But yeah, having two units, having two teams that play together entirely, two groups of five that they each individually understand each other's tendencies, and you're not working the sixth guy and the seventh guy into the rest of this group. Having them operate like units is easier, because they both know what they're supposed to do when these guys are on the floor. They're not reconsidering who they are every time that you're shifting a team in. They have their style, they have who they are, they have what they're supposed to bring. They know it. Everybody knows their role, and it's easier that way. And you get guys breaks and all that kind of stuff. So there's obviously more reason to have it in the NBA, because it's 48 minutes, because it's 82 games. You're not going breakneck for all of these. You have to win this one, you have to win that one. You're going to take some wins, you're going to take some losses, and when you play 82, it's different. But I get, even for a college coach going back, to be like, man, I really liked this, and I really think you can overwhelm people if you've got two really good units. IU's not in a case where they have two really good units. I think they've got good players, and you look at. And I didn't watch enough of the game just to know what everybody's mad about as far as this is concerned. I look at a box score, and none of these, bench minutes are crazy. You got CJ Gunn playing 18, Peyton Sparks playing 8, Anthony Leal playing 9. Nobody's getting crazy minutes. Malik Renew and Gabe Cupps play 31 each. Coyle Ware plays 29 on a night when he wasn't very good. But I get it, and feeling like, okay, why do you need to take some of these guys out so much? You're messing with flow, you're messing with that kind of thing. Why you should be able to just leave him out there. And you're probably right. At the end of the day, you're probably right that he probably needs to get out of this. I think basically that's the idea. I get feeling like, okay, you got to get used to this, and that there are, at the end of the day, things when it comes down to it that adjusting to the college game has been difficult for him. And I still think that while he has been able to go get top line talent, and he's been able to convince top line talent to come, there has been the issue of filling out a whole roster that I think is still a thing, as far as knowing, okay, how do you get guys that, like when you're used to NBA talent and you're used to looking at guys that are that great of athletes, how do you know a player who's less athletically talented that can help you at the college level that's never going to be a pro? How do you see those guys? How do you know to invest in those guys? I mean, Gabe Cupps, I think, is going to be a really good player. Gabe was identified by the previous administration. And Galloway, obviously similar guy. And so I think that's the thing that you still want to see from Woodson, is being able to fill out your whole roster with guys that are not next level players, but are this level players and really good at being this level players, and give you the things you need, like 3-point shooting and ball handling and stuff that just sort of fits and stuff that you need to be able to do to win at this level.
Yeah, Indiana had their best start of the season by far. They come out and they hit 4 straight 3-point shots, including getting it started by Gabe Cupps, who that was part of the issue. Gabe had not been scoring, been doing very well filling in for Xavier. Did a great job last week defensively in the Michigan game, but his stat lines were pretty empty. And while I don't expect for him to score 15 points a game, I've told people, I said, I don't care. Your point guard still has to score. He has to be a threat to score.
Right.
And in this game, he did. He was one of 4 players in double figures, 4 of 6 shooting, by the way, 2 of 3 behind the arc. He also had 5 rebounds. So tremendous game for Gabe Cupps. But that's where they didn't get what they needed from Mackenzie Abako, who
Right.
also was hit 2 of those opening 3-point shots, but Indiana did not hit another one. That was their first 4 shots of the game. They would not hit another 3-point shot until I think it was 7, maybe 8:13 to go in the second half. And meanwhile, Auburn was 14 of 29 for 48% from behind the 3. And just do the math, and it quickly, you can see how the disparity, Indiana losing 104 to 76. And it was relatively easy. They were taking shots and Indiana refuses to take. And so that's a problem for Indiana. I'm not saying Indiana needs to be a team that's putting up 29 3-pointers, but they have to not allow 14 3-pointers to be made.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't, like, the 3-point line matters. And if you're not going to make them, you really have to defend it. I mean, you really have to defend it well, because it can get, it can come down on your head pretty fast. I mean, they had 6 threes. That's their season high. I only know this because I watched Liam McNeely on Saturday in Vegas, and Liam McNeely hit 4 threes in that game against they played Link Academy, and that matched Indiana's season high up until Saturday. And so I mean, it is an issue. I mean, like, you've got to be able to defend it, and like, you don't have to live on the 3, but you got to be able to hit them. And it's just an issue, and they've just got to be able to build out a roster that can shoot.